Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show, and we have back here again my friend and comrade Jamarr Jabari. Welcome back and Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, Willie. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we got a lot to talk about with Venezuela. It looks like.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Can we talk about the ice first
Yeah.
before we get to
Yes,
Venezuela?
we need to talk about ICE. Absolutely.
um, what I find very, very funny is how the United States is giving all this hoopla towards Iran. And a lot of it you can't trust information because the CIA and Mossad led. On my end, I have saw Iranians talking about it, and have saw Iranians post pro government rallies as much as anti government rallies. And here on the West, we haven't heard anything about the pro government rallies at all. So we are seeing literally a psyop, just like with Venezuela, a psyop. And the reason why I bring this up because we have a government in the United States that is rogue, a rogue government, a government that does not care about the Constitution, a government that does not care about enacting your freedoms or respecting your rights, a government that would shoot a soccer mom 3 times in the face, lie after the person literally was unalived an hour before you comment, lie and say, oh, the real victim is the ICE agent. The ICE agent is in hospital. The ICE agent was never in the hospital. He was in the hospital for a different occasion. He's not a new ICE agent. He's been a part of our intelligence, our intelligence spear. I say intelligence spear because he was FBI before. He has a career in federal. So he's not new. So we got to get rid of newcomer. He is what the system is. He trained people in law enforcement. He's a part of this system, an end grind system. Jonathan Ross is an end grind product of late stage capitalism. That's what he is. So while we have ICE agents killing almost 30 people so far, and we have a police force in every city that has a body count of over 1,000 altogether each year, who are we to judge Iran? The police kill less than 10 people a year, probably even less than that. There was a time where like 5-6 years in Europe, only like 4 people was murdered within a century. So we kill over almost 1,000 people a year with our government, with our police force. But we want to point fingers and wag our fingers at other countries, especially black and brown nations. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no. I was saying absolutely. I agree. We're no moral. We have no moral authority. We didn't have any moral authority prior to this bullshit. We definitely don't have any moral authority right now under this piece of shit Donald Trump presidency, which is far worse than the first Trump presidency.
Yes.
The first Trump presidency, I will argue, was slightly to the left of George W. Bush. The second Trump presidency makes George W. Bush look like Noam Chomsky. And that's what we're dealing with. I mean, he's fucking out of control. I mean, and ICE. I mean, ICE is. There's no other way to put it. They're fucking fascists. I mean, and
that's it. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
Fashions.
And here's the thing, and I'm going to talk about this on my podcast tonight, later on at 10 o'clock tonight, unless I get too sleepy and decide to put it off to tomorrow, because I work graveyard shift. Thing about it is, Trump promised us no new wars. And we have slightly less aggressive foreign policy under the first Trump. Now he's super neocon at this point, psycho neocon. It's like he's combined alt-right and neocon, which is kind of almost contradictory, but he kind of meshed it together, which is fucking more evil than you can imagine. And I mean, and this is what we're dealing with. And the point is that what we're dealing with right now. I mean, he promised no new war, and a lot of the folks that are like, "Yeah, Biden got us into all these wars now, and Trump will get us out of these wars," and 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 so they followed the leader, and Trump changed his tune, and now they're waving their flags, and it's 2003 all over again. I'm just waiting for them to bring back the phrase "freedom fries." Remember that?
Yeah. I was young when they were saying that, but I do remember the freedom fries. Yes, I do.
There is a North Carolina connection to freedom fries, by the way. Yeah.
But with that, I want to say hello to the beautiful state of North Carolina, my second home, where my family on my father's side originated at. We are the original free men of North Carolina, so I'm very happy to be gracing your show in the beautiful state of North Carolina.
Thank you. Always happy, and I have family up in Connecticut. So to everybody in Connecticut, love your state. So there's that as well. Up in New London and Groton. Yeah. So I haven't been up there in a while. So anyway, let's see what I was going to say. There was a thought I was going to share.
We were talking about ICE and the Gestapos.
Gestapo, and here's the thing about it. All of a sudden, Renee Good. I mean, if Renee Good was married to a man, they would not emphasize the fact that she's a lesbian. I mean, they would not emphasize the fact that she's straight, but all of a sudden, it's a problem that she's a lesbian. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? She was shot in the face, and she was not weaponizing her vehicle. She was trying to get away. And you got to be a moron to believe that she was trying to take her vehicle and run over the motherfucker.
Right. Well, I will tell you right now, I'm getting reports that there are prosecutors, people within the federal government that are resigning because of this, because they are being told to lie. And the evidence is just so overwhelmingly false of what they're saying. That they can't with any good conscience say the lie that the Donald Trump administration wants to tell them. They see that she was leaving. She said that she was leaving literally in the video. She said, "I'm leaving." She was waving traffic over as well too. There was no snowbank, Christy Dome. I don't know where she got the fucking snowbank from, saying that, they was trying to get out of snowbank. They ran over to her car. And the guy that shot her, Jonathan Ross, was filming with his phone like this. He didn't feel like he was in no danger at all. So at the end of the day, we know the truth. And what is the outcome out of this? I don't know what the outcome out of this is. I do know that ICE as an organization, and people might be upset by me saying this, should not exist. ICE is a very rare unicorn in this modern society. No country in the world has an equivalent organization to ICE. ICE is the most funded federal organization in the country right now. The most funded. They got more money than the FBI. Crazy, right? Insane.
That's crazy. I didn't know that, actually.
They started during the George Bush administration.
That I knew.
There was no need for ICE before George Bush. It's time to get rid of them. It is time.
Getting rid of ICE, abolishing ICE is the moderate position. It's not an extremist position. It's not an extremist position. You don't need ICE. You have customs that do their jobs. I mean, you have natural borders, and natural borders are not necessarily reactionary. I mean, you have your natural borders. You don't need ICE to sit there and to billy club and snatch people out of vehicles and all of that. You don't need that. You need something kind of like what they have in the EU, where you just pass some papers around, whatever, and natural borders, that are not, they're not like that would indicate it's this country or that country, like maybe like a border between a neighbor's house or whatever. That's not like territorial, like that. That there is a line, but it's not. There's not anything that's antagonistic. But so you have customs. So there's no need to have a fucking ICE around at all. I mean, so it to me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. George fucking W. Bush found something and that wasn't broke, and he fixed it. And I thought he was the worst president we ever had until the second Trump.
Yeah, George W. Bush is the monster that people need to keep understanding that has caused this era from the Patriot Act to everything. He is the tool of fascism, and everyone after him contributed to continuing to demonize us, divide us, jail us, kill us, prosecute us, take away our rights. They kept the trend going. And we did not know as much as we know now, but we cannot contribute this only towards Donald Trump. He is only as powerful because of what the bipartisan policies have done. And he's able to add on. So this is why we have the worst president in history, this monster Trump, because the system itself created him. And the system is the reason why he exists and the reason why he can do what he wants. When it comes to Venezuela, it's the same tactic. People will question less a brown person being a narco terrorist. They will agree with it, just like they'll agree if they hear a black person selling drugs. They will automatically agree with it subconsciously, and this is what he runs off of. He runs off of fear. He automatically knows that majority of people will be like, well, maybe they are selling drugs. Well, maybe they are committing crimes. Well, maybe majority of the people that are going out there is criminals. You know what I mean? He goes off of the biases in society that we have been told to believe, and he goes gun ho using this rhetoric and pulverizes it 100 times fold. And this is the issue here. While these people are running a pedophile ring, they got more time demonizing Venezuela, Iran, and all these other countries while they're literally criminals themselves. The hypocrisy, you know what I mean? Yes, I do believe all this is a distraction from Epstein, but it's just so much more of a cover up to make sure the empire doesn't fall. Maybe they're just freaking out like how the Romans did right now.
It's funny you mentioned that with the Epstein files because it's funny you mentioned that because that's kind of what it is. It was also distraction, because Donald Trump, the MAGA movement, the right wing for the past from 2021 all the way till the election in 2024 kept on saying how everybody who opposed Trump were a bunch of perverted pedophiles and they're around with the little children and everything, as if they're virtuous and all that. And since Trump came in and is looking like all the children diddlers are a bunch of right-wing assholes out there getting caught all the time, all over the place. And it's been beautiful seeing them getting caught. Not that I want the victims, kids to be the victims, but proving what hypocrites that they are and everything of that nature. And I do think it's bipartisan. Some of them are Democrats, but some of them are Republicans too. And it's not really political. I mean, that kind of thing that's done to kids. I mean, there's no ideology behind it. It's a sickness. Right. It's a sickness, and and it doesn't have anything to do with sexual orientation. It doesn't have anything to do, I mean, there are straight pedophiles. I mean, right. And there are LGBTQ people that would never dream of doing this sort of thing, but they want to paint it out like LGBTQ people just want to go
Right.
around with little children, whatever, and they'll even say they even try to attack the Catholic Church and say, yeah, those priests go around with their little boys. Some of them are going around with little girls, I mean, so it, it's just kind of like this, the way that they do this sort of thing, but they're trying to distract and all of that, and that's why partly the economy's gone to shit, and so he's trying to revive the old patriotism thing and everything like that again. And so the majority of the people in that MAGA coalition have reverted back to that Bush, Cheney, Rush Limbaugh style talking point, the Fox News talking point from 2003, and they're the hypocrites that they were. I knew that that's what they were all along, and just like that's what they are. So
I mean, what's the hypocrisy when you're in one breath exonerating Juan Hernandez, who is one of the biggest drug dealers that Honduras ever had, backing dictatorships like Peru, backing dictatorships in the Middle East, but under that same breath, while demonizing these dictatorships that you claim exist, you are backing them. Venezuela, there's a lot. Here's what we know about Maduro. And this might piss off a few people. Just understand that at the end of the day, there is the truth, and then there's the lie. The lie is more popular than the truth. But the truth will always be revealed. One thing that Fidel Castro has always said, that the truth will vindicate him.
Yeah.
And when you look at what Fidel Castro has done compared to what they say about him, he's absolutely right. Because he had Nelson Mandela and other great figures that vouched for him before they died. Rest in peace to Nelson Mandela. Absolutely. And Maduro was one of them. But Maduro is a lot more softer. I use the term soft because it is. He was a lot more softer than Fidel was. All his opposition is still alive and well and in parliament.
Here's the thing about Venezuela. Venezuela is not even a communist country. It's still basically a capitalist economy. Right. And what they have done with their oil is no different from what Norway. I mean, it's really a Latin American social democracy. Now, the United Socialist Party is it. I would say they're probably ideologically a hodgepodge of maybe Marxist Leninists in the party. Right. Some are social democrats. Maybe some are Trotskyists. Some are some kind of flavor of revolutionary populist left type. Yes. I think that's probably what they are. And it's sort of like a coalition of various ideologies working inside the United Socialist Party. They're not like let's say the Social Democrats of Germany or the Communist Party of China or something like that. It's kind of like a hodgepodge ideologically. So it's not really fair to call them a communist country, but
it's really not. It's so inaccurate. Yeah. And everyone that lives in Venezuela would tell you that it's a capitalist country. The people that they put on the news to talk about Venezuela, you notice one thing about them. They look white passing. They're Spaniards. They got German in them. I'm saying like not Spaniards being German. I'm saying that like
I know what you mean.
They descend from Germany. They descend from Spain. They're white, and that's what Machado is as well too. That's what Guaido is as well too. Spaniards. They want white people of Latin America, the Spaniards, to control all of Latin America, because if the Spaniards control Latin America, it's a lot easier for them to run things. And people don't believe that. Look into it. It's absolutely factual. What the problem is that Maduro is an indigenous Latin man, just like Chavez was. And Maduro does not want to do what the United States tell him to do. That's why he's a problem, just like Chavez. Okay. So What's up?
As somebody who's half Puerto Rican, I can attest to that because look, all you have to do is to watch television. I mean, whether you're talking about Univision or when
Good
I go and
example.
visit my parents in Puerto Rico, and you watch the local television shows and you watch dramas or whatever on TV, whether it comes from Argentina or if it comes from Mexico or Peru or Venezuela,
Right.
what have you, the characters on the television show are the Spanish speaking characters are more European descent
Yep.
Spaniards, and
Yep.
even in Puerto Rico is the same thing.
Yep.
It's the same thing. They're not the mestizo style or more indigenous, you know, um, you know, um, style Hispanics, and a lot of the politicians are the same way in Latin America. I mean, there's a lot of the leadership, and
Right.
even some of the good guys like Lula in Brazil. I mean, same thing. I mean, or God rest his soul, Salvador Allende in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the people who came from privilege and wealth that did have a conscience that would run for office and all of
Right.
that. It
And
just
that's what makes the Chavistas different. The
Mhm.
Chavistas are majority indigenous and black. Chavez said himself that he never compared himself as a Latino. He compared himself as black and indigenous. When you look at the Chavistas in Venezuela, which outnumbers the opposition leadership, which opposition members are voted into parliament, National Assembly, excuse me, there are
Mhm.
still sitting opposition members. Machado was one of them. Um, Juan Guaido was one of them. But you see the starch difference. The Venezuelans that support this administration are black and indigenous. They are Latin mixed with black and indigenous. They do not represent the ruling class. So you will never see someone that looks like them on CNN, on Fox News. This goes with every other country that has this. You will never find someone from Burkina Faso who supports the Burkina Faso president right now, Ibrahim Traoré, on Fox News. You will find a brother from America that's a military guy that likes to shit on Africa for his career. That's who they'll put on. So we gotta understand the optics. The same optics is with Iran as well too. They'll get the most white passing Arab they can find from Iran to talk shit about Iran. And then you go and you listen to somebody that's actually from Iran, like my boy Naveed, who's a journalist, also a professor who works for the University of Tehran. They would never have him on because he would school them about his country very, very harshly. They would learn the hard way if they was to ever have him on. So that's the same thing for Venezuela. Maduro is not a dictator. And I
No.
don't care how many people want to say that he is. Maduro won his election. It
Yes.
was a close election. It was a very close election. That tells you how much of the different opinions that Venezuelans have. They have a right to think the way they want to think, and they use their power in the ballot box. And it was a very hard battle. Maduro won. Okay, we had my friend Dakota Lillian, who was a election observer on and after that election, and he broke down what was going on. We get people on my show that actually been there that can vouch for you and tell you exactly what is going on. The only issue that Venezuela is struggling with is two things. They don't have the right oil infrastructure because of sanctions, and their oil is like diesel. It's not really that good. That is why ExxonMobil even said we don't want to invest with them. That's why Donald Trump is having a hard time having the oil monopolies investing because the oil is not that good. You just literally try to topple a whole country, and now you look stupid because the oil's not that good. The other thing is that the sanctions are the leading cause to Venezuelans starving, and why their healthcare is so much ass. Because to get Benadryl for a child there, it's the inflation is all the way up. Everything is expensive because of sanctions. And plus, because there's privatization still, there's still price gouging. The government can't control those privatizations. They can't. It's a capitalist country. All they can do is do a system like CLAP under the good revolutionary Alex Saab, who is Lebanese descent. All they could do is a system like CLAP, which basically is like the WIC program here. You know what I mean? That's the job of the Bolivarian movement, where they try to literally put in these plans and these bills to combat U.S. sanctions. Okay, so that's what the real problem in Venezuela is. It's really that simple. They were already free, by the way, white people. I just want y'all to know that they're already free, and they are still free because the Maduro's administration under Delcy Rodriguez is still in power.
Yeah. I want to bring back about Venezuela. Another point about Venezuela being not a dictatorship. Their electoral system is more democratic than ours. They have multiple parties in the National Assembly, and Venezuela was one of the first countries in the world to abolish the death penalty. We still have the fucking racist death penalty in the United States in the year of our Lord 2026. And the United States have no fucking authority to sit there and lecture about human rights anywhere around the world when we are still we still use the death penalty, and fucking Donald Trump with his goddamn executive orders first day signing 15 new federal death penalties. He can fuck himself.
Right. Yeah, he can go fuck himself. I mean, and then also Venezuela does have a very strong Catholic majority. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they will go on. This is another hypocrisy. They go on this rant about protecting Christians, and they just bombed 100 Christians. They just killed 100 Christians in Caracas, Venezuela. But Nicki Minaj would tell you that we have to protect the Christians.
That's another point. Another point is when the United States was selling arms to Saudi Arabia, indirectly helping Saudi Arabia years ago commit a genocide in Yemen, and coddling Saudi Arabia back then. And here's the thing, with the human right, you compare the human right abuse of Saudi Arabia to so-called human right abuse in Venezuela. I mean, leaving Islam in Saudi Arabia will get you the death penalty. You got freedom of religion in Venezuela. They don't care what religion you are. It's predominantly Catholic, but they don't give a fuck what you believe. Right. They're now socially conservative on LGBTQ issues, unfortunately, in Venezuela, but it won't get you the death penalty. But the United States coddle Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia contributes to more terrorism against the West than Iran, but yet the United States is so obsessed with terrorizing Iran while they look the other way, while Saudi Arabia,
And to be clear, one of our former presidents also said this as well too, that Venezuela has the most transparent election system in the entire Western Hemisphere. Jimmy Carter said this. Also, Venezuela, they have their own way of doing free housing, and that's through oil reserve sales. It started under Chavez. So people are actually able to get free housing under Venezuela because of the oil. And what Donald Trump wants to do is take away all that. So that's why I said that Venezuelans were free before they took Maduro, and they are still free now because Maduro government still is in power, because they have these options still. They are still able to get what they can under this capitalist system. And if Donald Trump because right now we are surrounding them in the Gulf. We are actually don't have any foot soldiers. We have not invaded. Those were special ops. They became in. They went in and they went out. That's all they did. They did not stay. Those are special ops. So I think it's very, very important. I think it's very, very important that we understand this and that we educate everyone we can. I don't I don't have time to hear this. Oh, all Venezuelans are celebrating. There's
AI videos.
literally, yeah, there's literally marches nonstop that you can see when you follow people that are actually from Venezuela instead of following the idiots in Miami.
Mhm.
Or what they call them, Gasanos, the Gasanos that are anti-Cuba, stuff like that. When you follow those people, you see what they want you to believe. But when you follow people within these countries, you talk to these people, you have access to talk to these people in these countries. You will see a totally difference. You don't even have to be a journalist like me to understand that. You will see a total difference. You will.
Now, I'm gonna tell you, when it comes to Kim Iverson, sometimes I agree with her.
Oh, God.
Sometimes I'm like, what the fuck, Kim? So I'm like, I mean, sometimes I will listen to her and I'm like 50-50. I'm like, and there are times I'm like, why do you say that? So, but he said something sensible the other day, and
What she say?
she said about this whole thing with Venezuela and the possibility of Cuba coming next. And the problem with Trump going into, if he puts ground troops into Venezuela and if he does a takeover of Cuba, that there will be a migration crisis like you can never imagine into Florida. And if there was anything that would bring the United States down, that will do it with Venezuela and Cuba, because it'll just be too much resources. And also, basically, and a friend of mine and I were talking about this, a lot of Latin America. I mean, there'll be probably a paramilitary movement in Latin America will be uniting like you never imagined before. There'll probably be weapons coming from Russia and China helping out and everything. I mean, and honestly, that could cause a situation really with Russia and China having a confrontation with the United States. Do they really want that? Do they really want that?
Well, I don't think China will get involved. Unfortunately, I think China has made it clear how they want to play in this game. But would Russia get involved? I do think so. I do think so. I just can't. I can't put China in any scenario besides Taiwan. But will when they will actually get involved? I feel like they will only get active for Taiwan, and you don't want them getting active for Taiwan. I feel that Russia needs to reevaluate their what is it that they actually stand for, because their foreign policy is absolutely awful. Russia's being tested right now from Syria and so on. If Venezuela falls, people will be looking at Russia again and be like, well, what does this mean for the Sahel region? Because here we go again, a second country is being threatened to fail. And then on your when you talked about Latin America, we already see that there might be a cusp of a Latin NATO happening from what I see on the ground. Talking to people and looking on social media. My friend, my good friend, Kovalik, Dan Kovalik, who's a performing professor at Pittsburgh University. He loves coming on my show. I don't know why, because I have such a small audience, but I really appreciate his time. Thank you so much, Dan, by the way, for being so into coming on my show. He is the lawyer for Gustavo Petro, who is the president of Colombia. And Gustavo Petro is ready for action. Cuba is ready for action. The government of Cuba, they're taking Trump's threats as, all right, motherfucker, then try it. And then also in Chile, which was interesting. I did not expect this. Chile also said, we are not going to tolerate this. It'll be Venezuela now, and it'll be whoever else next. So we need to stand. And then also there's the great one in Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, who is my favorite president, who was my president at this point.
Mine too. I've said that. I would be proud to call her my president.
She is not playing. She's a pit bull as well too. So I think Latin America is soon to have a poised type of NATO situation to defend themselves against America. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, says that we just trying to figure out the situation. Any other?
It's stressful, right? Because now Greenland. What the fuck is that about?
Savvy Sabs has something to say about Greenland today. She said, yeah, she was commenting on Vice President J.D. Vance talking about how, I don't necessarily agree with Denmark being in charge of Greenland, but as if the United States would be kinder to Greenland than Denmark. Right. Denmark being one of the kindest societies in the world with their gentle social democratic framework, and the United States, come on now, I mean, and their healthcare system is as socialized as the UK National Health Service and Cuba's national healthcare system, and the United States is going to treat them better. Bullshit.
Which my issue with that is because JD Vance, he's so weird. It's like, you such a white nationalist, but your girlfriend, your wife, and your kids are like not white. They're Indian, but whatever. He went over there to tell them, oh, the reason why we want Greenland because you guys are not treating your people better. They have universal health care, JD Vance. Before we even get to anything else, I'm pretty sure there are some human rights issues with the indigenous people in Greenland that they will love to talk about because they've been ran by Vikings for so damn long. I'm pretty sure they have some grievance. But my thing is that on the universal healthcare level alone, they are doing better than what we are doing with other countries we control. Way better. Just off of that alone. So you went over there and tried to say that they're not doing enough? This administration is embarrassing. Biden administration was embarrassing too, on the fact that they were just so close to nuclear war or did not give a fuck. They didn't care about that. These guys are just ridiculous on every freaking level. They can't even tell a truth. They're so embedded in lies that it's just every day they wake up and it's a reality that they can interpret, and they tell you what the reality is. It's like
cartoonishly incompetent.
It's very bad. It's very, very bad. Which is why, I agree with the former president of Russia. I can't think of the dude's name right now. His name was right in my mind, and it just went away. But he was a former president of Russia when Putin was the prime minister. And he's harder on Ukraine than Putin is. He said that we need to stop negotiating with the United States and see this country as a mortal enemy. I agree with that. It's clear as day. We are a rogue state. We have people here in this country that still want to justify regime change while we are literally supporting like 3 genocides right now. Palestine, the Sudanese genocide, the Congo. And we just bombed the fuck out of northern Nigeria before we even invaded Venezuela and took their president. And the northern Nigerians, there was a CNN report that said, oh, we don't know why they bombed us because there's no Boko Haram here. But they told the media to say it was ISIS there. You mean the ISIS that we control with our tax dollars that attack the Sahel region off of the behest to topple Ibrahim Traoré and the junta government up in Niger in Mali? The same Ukrainians that are also working with ISIS to try to topple the Mali government. That ISIS, I don't know if I believe you. The ISIS that works with Al Qaeda that has Al Jilani in power over the HTS movement in Syria that is putting Alawite children in slavery while slaughtering Christians and the Druze. That ISIS, I don't think but whenever they just use ISIS at this point, it's a lie because ISIS is doing their bidding on our payroll that we give them with our tax dollars. So everything they're saying is a lie. It's all to just keep people in line. Everything. They're trying to keep the empire strong, and that's it. They want to get rid of all the deals that Latin America has with China and Russia and other big deals with Iran and other countries that are anti-America, and they want to keep them in line. They want to keep their foot on their necks. It's the new Monroe Doctrine. He called it the Donald Doctrine. Yeah, the Donald Doctrine. That's the agenda.
I call it just old-fashioned neocon-conservatism. Yeah. Yes. And I have a new nickname for Donald Trump, Neocon
Don. You mentioned something about the tariffs as well. Well, you didn't say anything about tariffs. You talked about the economy. The tariffs are working for the rich here. They are. But they're not working for us.
Okay. I got something to say about the tariffs.
Yeah, okay. Let's go.
Yeah. Now, I am traditionally somewhat of a protectionist, but here's the thing. You have to be a protectionist with some wisdom and common sense. Donald Trump doesn't have it. He goes with his fucking emotions. I'm going to go and put tariffs in that country and tariffs on that country and tariffs on that country. And that's how he does it in with like a little child having a tantrum and with no rhyme or reason and no national policy to protect industries and to protect workers here in this country. And so, yeah, it's going to make prices go high and it's going to go and create dysfunction domestically because there are going to be times you need to go and deal with another country to trade with another country on certain things that are not accessible here. And, people say that people who are wealthy and, people who are, that the wealthy, they obviously know how to run businesses or what have you. And the people in the capitalist class, no. Donald Trump is a classic example. He's a failed businessman. He failed his way up in life. He's basically the Forrest Gump of the billionaire class.
Yeah, I would say that he is definitely in this stance for what it means for white supremacy in this country, a very useful idiot. You know what I mean? When you have someone in like Russell, let's make sure that we get this dude named correctly. When you have someone like Russell Vaught, who is the architect of Project 2025, and he is the head of Doge, not because he was the second choice, but it was designed for him to be the head of Doge. Why did I say this? Because Elon Musk was just the distraction for Doge. That's why he's no longer. He was already going to leave to begin with. This whole drama that people were talking about and shit like this, I really don't even believe that they really do genuinely hate each other. I feel that these are rich people that have huge egos, and when they get mad at each other, they throw licks, but at the end of the day, they still have a solidarity for white supremacy. You see this in Elon Musk consistently with his tweeting. The white people are running out. We're dying out. Blah, blah. We're not making enough white kids. You know what I mean? Like, you see it with him. And then you have someone like Russell Vaught, who is a extreme white supremacist that is literally been quietly, notice how Doge is no longer in the news, quietly running Doge. Quietly. And he's the architect of Project 2025. And then you have someone like Donald Trump. While you got Russell Brand, the white supremacist in power, that's hot. There's 13 billionaires in this administration. Never been this much billionaires in one administration. And you got him in power. Then you have Donald Trump making a comment saying, well, the civil rights demonized white people. While also doing rollbacks on civil rights policies with his executive orders and stuff like that. there's an agenda here, people, and I think it's clear as day what the agenda is. Um, they are going back to the ideology of being the master race, and if they get what they want, which is why I hate the Democrats even more for this, because their policies helped him be able to do this more smoothly than how he was acting in 2016 term. I feel that this is what we're seeing, like Germany, basically. Not even just Germany, because Germany learned from us, so they just want to return back to Jim Crow. Um, this is why it's legal in California now to deny people service because they're black and stuff like that. Like it's rolling over. When they say they want the states to do these things, that means that they want to get rid of all your rights that you fought for, and then the states, no matter what state you're in, you're at their mercy. Like that's the end game. What do you think?
I, I, I never thought. Well, no, I take that back. I had a horrible dream in 1989 that, and I that like a prediction almost that we would be in some kind of a fascist state, and I thought maybe I was overreacting. And I was, yeah, how old was I at the time? I was like 20 years old. I had a dream that we will be where we're at right now. Never thought it would be a dummy like Donald Trump as president, but that the country would be so far to the right, and we would be taking everything would be changing backwards. And this was at the time when Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush was in charge of everything. And then I was thinking maybe I was overreacting, and all of that. I said, surely we won't get to that state in this. We will never get to this point in this country. And I'd be damned, we're like in the cusp of getting to that point in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
when you have Russell Vaughn, the architect of Project 2025, in the administration, a part of Doge, we are definitely
when we have Palantir ready to monitor the entire population, and you got people who are very quiet about it and not giving a damn right now, and especially the MAGA freaks, and there's a possibility that Democrats could win back the midterms and could win back the presidency. It's a possibility. And here's the thing. I'm a principled civil libertarian, not a libertarian, but a civil libertarian. I'm a free speech guy and all of that. And I even believe assholes have a right to have their political opinions and all that. But as soon as the changing of the guard happens, and what the Trump people and what the Trump administration have been doing to go and attack immigrants and attack the left and all that, as soon as the next Democratic president, President Gavin Newsom, tries the same shit against the MAGA movement, they're gonna all of a sudden they're cheering Trump for doing this to the left and doing this to the immigrants and doing this to the LGBTQ people. They're going to be screaming bloody murder when the Democrats do this tepidly against some high profile MAGA folks. They're not going to do it to all of them. They'll do it to a few of them, and they're going to do it apologetically. Yeah.
And there was something that you mentioned that I wanted to piggyback off of. What was it that you mentioned? It's very, very important. Democrats. Okay, there we go. So, let's say they win the midterm election, which is what it looks like it's looking like. We can't sit here, like a lot of people think that the right wing is winning. So let me push back on why I disagree with why the right wing is winning. First of all, the turnout rate for this last election that got Donald Trump in office was low as hell. People lost confidence in Kamala Harris, which is why 15 million people dropped from even going to vote. 15 million less than what the Biden administration won. Also, that tells you that They dropped not only because of Harris, but because of Trump as well too. They didn't feel like there was a competent enough candidate to keep this agenda going and moving forward, so they stayed home. Okay, next point. Donald Trump, when you look at his feed, it says millions of views on this stuff, thousands of likes. A lot of it is from people that don't even live in this country, and there's probably bots as well too. The bot nonsense with the races all over the goddamn comic section. Majority of working people don't even think this way. Being an organizer myself that have been out in the streets talking to working people, red, white, blue, whatever, they don't even think of like this. They don't act like this. They don't be on social media arguing with people like this. What we see in the polls, that majority of Americans agree with a lot of left issues. They want abortion. You know what I mean? They want women to have autonomy for their bodies. This whole red wave is a blown up out of proportion ad revenue project. Ben Shapiro has lost a lot of followers.
Oh my
but
God.
Yet they still consider Ben Shapiro one of the biggest commentators, but because he spends a lot of money on his ads. Same thing with well, actually, I would not say Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is actually very, very popular. Same thing with his components with the Charlie Kirk squad. They spend a lot of fucking money on ads. You know what I mean? Their popularity is really not a popularity. Donald Trump's approval rating, by the way, is -24. That's the second lowest to Nixon. Nixon is -36 or something like that. I think it's 40 actually. He's not popular. So when it comes to this midterms, the Democrats have the ball. I do see them winning. Now, here's the issue. I don't think they're going to impeach him. I don't think they're strong enough to do it. I have no confidence in them whatsoever. They did it. They tried it last time. What happened? What happened with that?
I think they will impeach him. I don't think that they will remove him. I think this is what I think that will happen. The House will impeach him, but I mean, I think that Chuck Schumer is such a sorry sack of shit.
That's the reason why.
Yeah, he'd be like, right, well, we need to be a united country, and I mean, he'll just be the worthless, wishy-washy, there's just not enough words in the English language to illustrate my contempt for Chuck Schumer. I mean,
well, he's a Zionist, so he's a Zionist. So
yeah,
he's automatically on Trump's side to me. All the Zionists are Trumpers.
Yeah, he's just horrible. Yeah, and the thing about it, I have a lot of issues. Obviously, we do with AOC, but I would say that there's one area where AOC is still useful. Not that Chuck Schumer is wonderful in the year of 2026, but AOC may have contributed to him being less shitty. If AOC wasn't around, he'd be shittier than he is now. He's scared of her. Yeah.
I can't predict what the future holds with AOC and Jasmine Crockett's of the world. But what I do know for a fact is that while Trump is in office, the midterms is 3 years away, right? No, incorrect. In a year, right? Yes. So we have another year before we figure out what the midterms are going to look like. So Donald Trump has another year to act the fool, and he's the useful and the idiot. But everyone that is in his administration, the lawyers, the appointed judges and prosecutors, the federal government, Kristi Noems of the world, all these people, I think they know that he likes to just be told yes, and they will conspire with a diabolical plan, Project 2025, and they will use him to get their diabolical plan going. I think that's what exactly is going on. That he's the useful idiot. He's the cheerleader of the group, and Marco Rubio will finally get what he wants. You know his dick is hard right now.
Yeah.
Over in Venezuela. Am I allowed to?
I'm a dirtbag leftist. We're
Okay,
politically incorrect around these parts. I got a question for you. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
2028. And when I'm saying the presidential election in 2028, I'm not talking about who do you think will win. And we're not talking about as far as Democrat, Republicans. We know it will be one or the other. But who ultimately, regardless of party, who do you ultimately would you like to see win in the presidential election? We're talking about any party, anybody in particular, any candidate that you would like to see that has the chops policy. Who would you like to see run for president in the year 2028?
I think Claudia Dela Cruz did a very great campaign, and she deserves a lot more attention than she got last time. And she brings in a lot of numbers alone with her advocacy on her posts. She has thousands of views, sometimes millions. Add them up, there already are millions. She's very, very poised. A lot of progressive women and socialist women in the influencer movement knows about her. I see them posting about her. She's getting very, very, very popular. The People's Forum is an entity of a different beast within the labor movement, and they are needed in this labor movement so strongly. So I think she is the most perfect candidate to run this country if it was ever possible. We will be 1,000 times better if we had a Claudia Dela Cruz as our president.
I would not have any problem voting for Claudia Dela Cruz, but I do have a favorite myself.
Who's your favorite?
Brianna Joy Gray, hands down.
She's dope. I like her.
I want her.
I want her on the show.
I want her on my show too eventually. But
yeah,
I think Brianna Joy Gray, I mean, policy wise and everything, I'm like, she needs to run for president. And she forwarded
she's a different beast as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, she forwarded my tweet maybe about 6-7 months ago. I mean, I didn't think anything. I was just like, I said, I wish that Brianna Joy Gray would run for president. I highlighted her name, and she saw it, and she posted it on Twitter. I was just like, cool. She thought about me for 20 seconds.
Well, yeah, I mean, how do you contact her? I tried to get Sabby Sabs to tell me what's her email and stuff. She didn't get back with me.
I guess I could contact Sabby Sabs. I mean, I guess I could contact her. Maybe I could,
because I had Sabby Sabs on the show before a documentary came out. That was a great interview.
Yeah. Yeah, eventually. I guess my show needs to be a little bit bigger, so but I just
baloney. They need to come here. This is where the people are. This is the people's movement.
That's true.
They need to bring their behinds here and pay homage to working people.
That's true.
Because they are only big because of working people. We make them big.
I tell you, I just got over 1,000 a couple of weeks ago, and that was awesome. Mm-hmm. It took me almost 6 years to get 1,000.
That's dope, Willie. Congratulations! I can't wait for me.
Yeah,
congratulations.
It just and we're all shadow banned. I mean, all of us.
Oh, it's bad.
Even the bigger platforms are shadow banned. So
yep.
I mean, they're all shadow banned and all that. And I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, I thought about it. It's like, maybe some kind of a lawsuit or something to sit there and to get rid of the algorithm shadow ban that they have or something,
right.
Yeah.
And it's like, see, I use Substack a lot now, and I use Instagram a lot now. TikTok is ran by Zionists now, so I'm not really posting as much on TikTok because of the Zionist connection. It's very, very sad that we lost TikTok. That's the other issue with capitalism. This guy from Singapore Can't think his name right now, but he had a great opportunity with ByteDance. He had a great opportunity to revolutionize the algorithm in social media, but he sold out for billions of dollars. He did. You
Yeah.
know, he could have fought Trump on that. He did. He had the resources to fight Trump on that, but he sold out for billions of dollars. These Karens in office, these Republican Karens that are in office, are they don't know jack shit about technology. You know, when he came to the hearing, they asked the most stupid, idiotic questions that a 4-year-old child probably could have answered. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it wasn't a hard hearing. It was a hearing where I guess that guy in the back of his mind was probably thinking, like, why am I here? Like, why am I here? I think he was just done with the drama and he just sold the company. But I'm very disappointed about that. It was a TikTok is a very big L for the left, because that is what exposed Gaza to new people, and now Israel is so most unliked out of any other country right now. You know, TikTok did that, and it's
Well, people
sad
still
that they
talk
are sold
about
out.
Gaza on TikTok, though.
Yes, but it's not as the algorithm isn't serving it as it was before. There's NATO and CIA
Mm-hmm.
operates that are part of the company now, and they're repressing information. They are definitely repressing. Same thing as Meta. Michael, I mean, isn't it crazy how Mark Zuckerberg literally said on the Joe Rogan podcast with no problem openly, "Oh yeah, we stay in touch with the feds. The feds tell us what to take down." just
You know what I think
just
needs to be.
openly like that.
I don't think the feds are going to listen to me saying this, but what I think that Panquake needs to do is Panquake needs to get a lot of the lefties to go into MySpace, bring it back, and
Wouldn't that
take
be
the
great?
Trotskyist tactic and take over MySpace and have Panquake take over MySpace somehow and let that be the platform for Panquake.
Yeah, man. I mean, we need something, man. Either we get like a I mean, there's this app called how much time you got? I don't want to. I know we went over an hour.
Probably about 20 more minutes, and then I got to eat.
Okay. There's this app called Fanbase right here that I'm starting to use. People should follow Jabari Media on Fanbase.
Fan
Fanbase
base.
is a black, yeah, it's a black owned. Here it is. Here's what it looks like. It's a black owned social media app. It's owned by Isaac Hayes the third. You know, if you a Isaac Hayes fan, you know who Isaac Hayes the third father was. Um, it's an app for creators, and you can also buy stock and get ownership into the app. So not only you can be a creator on the app, you can also, for a cheaper price, become an owner where you own stock for that app. Pretty nice. And of course, you got to build a following, all that stuff, just like the jazz. You know what I mean? And you just don't go on and be like, "Oh my god, I'm big," just so people don't think that that's what happens. You got to build your own following, fan base.
Is this
Seems
it?
pretty cool. Yep,
Is this
that's
it?
it.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
And
I don't know much about if he has anybody from the government. I've looked into it. I haven't seen any government influence on it yet. But you know, there's something there. Hopefully it takes off. There's a lot of people on it right now, I'll tell you that much. It's not like it's not being used to the biggest full of potential.
okay, I'll forward that to everyone here. There we go.
Yeah, check it out.
Fan base, everyone. Check it out. All right.
Um Also, you know, follow me on Substack, Twitter, um, YouTube. We got to get this movement going with little creators. We got to support little creators. There's a lot of good information coming out from Willy Bragg that I have seen him post and stuff. A lot of good information coming out from Extra Bola. A lot of good information coming from Tommy Nation. I was on Tommy Nation's show last week. I'm going to be on Extra Bola show on the 28th. There's a lot of good podcasts here, man, that people should support because it's important. Please like and share and show people this because there's a lot of information here. We're not going to lie to you. We're not backed by donors.
Mm-mm.
We're not backed by George Soros and the crew.
Yeah, we're not.
That's who they're after.
Yeah, we're not right wingers and we're not shit libs.
You know what I mean? We're working class people giving you a working class perspective. And that's so important right now. You know what I mean? My boy Alex Suarez, for instance, you know, he had a teaching job. And he goes through a lot being a Florida teacher. You know what I mean? Florida is one of the most suppressors of information as a state. And we need information out there. You need these shows out there. CNN is not going to tell you what's going on. CNN is going to tell you, oh, we should bomb Iran. Fox News is going to tell you, oh, we should bomb Iran. Iran tore Israel's ass up in the 12-day war. It was Israel that asked for a ceasefire first. And now they want to do it again. These people are suicidal, the Zionists.
Yeah.
But you won't know that because on the ground, Western media is going to tell you, oh, well, we destroyed Tehran, which is true. Tehran did take some casualties. But a third of Tel Aviv was destroyed. No, a third of Haifa was destroyed, and almost half of Tel Aviv was on fire. They hit them up with them hypersonic missiles. So we need to hear the truth, and you're only going to hear the truth through media platforms like you and I, and Breakthrough News, People's Dispatch, Intercept. Who could you think of? Sabby Sabs, Gray Zone.
Yeah,
you know, and those are the only outlets that will tell you the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you a funny story. A couple of days ago, I was at work. I work graveyard shift, and a vendor came in the middle of the night, and he heard me. I was listening to Due Dissidence, and he was like, "Hey, you listen to Due Dissidence?" I said, "Yes, I sure do." And he's like, "I do too. You heard of the Gray Zone?" I said, "Absolutely." And so
that's good.
We were listening, and so we started a conversation and everything. And I said, "Yeah, I listen to them. I even know. I mean, I've had them on my show too, Keaton and Russell. So, I know them. So just like,
thank you, Teresa.
Oh, yeah. So it was just kind of like, yeah. So he said he was like I was the first person that he ever ran across that ever he caught listening to, you know. So that's
yeah,
cool.
man. And it's good to see that when you run into people that knows that, you know, like some people don't like Jamarr Thomas, and like I don't agree with Jamarr Thomas on trans issues and stuff like that. But what makes Jamarr Thomas morning show so rich is that he has people from around the world that are on the ground giving out reports. You know what I mean? And when you have something like that, it's easier to combat the narrative. They want you to bow down and accept that America is the greatest country in the world. You know who else said that? Hitler, Julius Caesar, the Mongols back in the day. And guess what? They're no more. They collapse. What's going to happen to us? Look, we'll probably end up like the UK. We'll probably lose our influence, not be able to dictate power as much as we want to anymore. But look, that's just the way it is. Yeah, and we are in the decline of what's up.
They have healthcare in the UK, you know.
They got healthcare in the UK, right?
They got something we don't got.
We are looking at the decline of the empire. Our empire is desperate. This is why I called my 2-part series on Venezuela a desperate empire. we are seeing a decline. Okay. And when it happens, I don't want nobody to be surprised.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, I'm probably I'm getting hungry, and because you have any final words?
Yes, my season 6 is complete. Please check out my last episode for season 6. I had a young man who's an up and coming rapper by the name of Young Raw. He is a young man. He's only like 22 years old, and he's doing a lot of stuff. I cover music, politics, and culture. So make sure you check out my 2-part series on Venezuela that just came out, where I had a Peruvian activist that was actually on site in Peru talking about Venezuela and talking about what's going on in Peru. And I had, of course, my former co-host Alex Suarez, who is a Venezuelan assembly, a Venezuelan embassy protector. He's also Peruvian as well too, but he was part of protecting the embassy. He also was a Venezuelan election observer as well too. He was observing the election in Venezuela. He's a historian, so he gave out a lot of great information. He knows the government. The government knows him. He just hasn't met Maduro yet. Hopefully, one day he gets to meet Maduro. Free Maduro. All right.
Free Maduro. Absolutely.
Our government backtracked. They backtracked the evidence of saying that there was a cartel. They acknowledged that there is no cartel. So free Maduro, free his wife. Chavez spoke about this, that they were going to frame him with narco terrorism, but he died. And I think we all know the CIA killed him. So they framed his successor. They framed Maduro with the cartel. The cartel is a lie. The CIA created that in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Free Maduro.
Absolutely.
This one is already free.
Absolutely. So everyone, support Jabari's work, and when I sign off here, I'll talk to you briefly before I do my thing. So, So everyone, thank you for showing up here. Next week, we're going to have Dwight Welch on. He's writing a book right now, and he's going to be starting a podcast, and that's what we're going to be discussing. He's a former Socialist Party comrade of mine when we were both in the Socialist Party USA, and so that's what we're gonna be discussing, his podcast. So we got somebody else joining BreadTube. I've been encouraging him to do this for a while, by the way. I've been encouraging some people that has a foresight to go and do commentary. I mean, it's like, come on, go on, start commenting online, so some people are starting to listen to me, so in that regard. So everyone, thank you for showing up. If you like what you heard, please press like and comment anyway if you disagree, and we'll have a conversation. Feel free to share any content I have on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are in fact the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to the Willy Bragg Show and reject all corporate media. And remember, free Nicolas Maduro. Free Maduro. Free Palestine. Free healthcare for all. Free speech. And fuck the neocons. And until next time, everybody. Actually, in the next couple hours, hopefully, unless I postpone it, I'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. See, let me do this. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button.
Oh, Chuck is correct. Stay hydrated.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.